Chapter 2. The highway stretched out like a lonely ribbon, devoured by the encroaching darkness. A bone-chilling howl of wind sliced through the stillness, announcing the arrival of a nightmarish storm. Above, a thick blanket of obsidian clouds gathered, suffocating the moon's feeble glow. In this desolation, jagged bolts of lightning tore across the heavens, briefly illuminating the sinister forest of towering trees that clawed at the sky with skeletal branches. Their elongated shadows danced menacingly on the drenched asphalt below. Sheets of rain lashed down, turning the highway into a glistening cascade of despair, while thunder bellowed like the roar of an enraged deity, shaking the very earth. Amidst this tempestuous chaos, a lone vehicle pressed forward, its dark blue SUV's headlights slicing through the inky void. For a fleeting moment, they revealed a previously concealed green sign, Haddonfield. 60 miles. Within the confines of the vehicle, the soft glow of the radio barely illuminated the two female occupants. The dulcet tones of Mr. Sandman by Pat Bullard and the Chordits played in the background. The driver, Jill, wore a wistful smile as she fondly remembered how their parents had made this song a constant companion during their formative years. Her sister, Julie, chuckled, recalling how their parents had played it so relentlessly that she'd believed it was the only song in existence. Laughter between the sisters filled the cabin. As the SUV navigated a treacherous bend, another flash of lightning and a thunderous boom intensified the storm's fury. Rain fell in relentless torrents, reducing visibility to near zero in the curtain of water. "I never thought it would be this bad tonight," Jill confessed, her face etched with worry as she fought to keep the vehicle on the slippery road. Julie, peering through her side of the front mirror, nodded in agreement, her own face mirroring concern. The sisters lamented the inaccurate weather forecast, resenting the meteorologist who had predicted only a small chance of rain, assuring them that the night would be uneventful. Their journey had begun in a neighboring town where they had visited their elderly father in a nursing home. They had extended an offer for him to live with them, but he had declined, preferring the camaraderie of fellow residents and the charming nurses who attended to him. The memory of their father's flirtatious attempt with one of the nurses, which had nearly led to a slap, still amused them. As the night wore on, the storm showed no signs of abating. Instead, it seemed to be gaining strength, resembling the approach of a hurricane. Around the next bend, Julie screamed, startling Jill, and pointed at a hunched figure looming before their headlights. In a reflex action, Jill slammed on the brakes, but the torrential rain had turned the road into a treacherous surface. The SUV skidded and slid along the waterlogged highway as if it were ice. The shadowy figure collided with the car's hood, catapulting into the air before crashing heavily behind the vehicle. Panic surged through the sisters as Jill wrestled frantically with the wheel, desperately attempting to regain control and prevent a plunge into the ditch. After an agonizing long slide, the vehicle finally came to a sideways stop, straddling the rain-slicked road. Both sisters' hearts raced as Julie inquired about Jill's well-being. Jill, still visibly shaken, reassured her sister. They both turned to gaze at the motionless figure in the road, then cautiously exited the vehicle. Walking back to where the figure lay, Jill repeatedly asked if he was dead, while Julie knelt beside him, attempting to assess the situation amidst the relentless downpour. The man remained unmoving, clad in a tattered army green jacket with a red shirt peering through the rips and tears. Suddenly, a violent cough racked the man's body, causing blood to spew from his mouth. Both sisters recoiled in terror. Julie instinctively touched his rain-soaked shoulder, asking if he was okay and what his name was. As the unknown man rolled over to his back, horror washed over both girls as they noticed the copious amount of blood saturating his red shirt. The shirt had been pierced with multiple stab wounds, evidence of a brutal attack that had left him grievously wounded. Jill, her stomach churning, approached closer. As lightning illuminated the sky once more, the man's face became visible. In disbelief, she whispered, "Tommy? Do you know him?" Julie inquired. Jill quickly identified the man as Tommy Doyle, a former neighbor who had vanished, leading everyone in town to assume he was dead. Tommy coughed up more blood, deliriously whispering, they're all dead. He killed them all. Who, Tommy? Who killed them? Jill pressed. Michael Myers. Jill and Julie stood in the pouring rain, their panicked breaths mingling with the torrential downpour. Tommy lay unconscious on the wet ground at their feet, his face pale and battered, an ominous stillness about him. The night seemed to close in around them, the relentless storm a backdrop to the nightmare they found themselves in. Their hearts pounded with a mixture of fear and concern. Tommy's utterance of Michael Myers had sent shivers down their spines, and now, seeing him injured and incapacitated, added another layer of dread to their already terrifying ordeal. The rain-soaked earth beneath their feet felt treacherous, as though it held some dark secret they couldn't fathom. Suddenly, a flicker of movement caught Jill's eye. She looked up, her eyes burst with fear, and in that fleeting moment when lightning briefly illuminated the scene, she saw a dark silhouette in the distance. Her heart sank as the realization struck her like a lightning bolt of terror. "Oh shit," Jill gasped, her voice trembling as she watched the silhouette through the relentless rain. Julie, too, turned her gaze toward the approaching figure, her breath hitching in her throat. In the dim, sporadic flashes of lightning, they saw it a tall, menacing form with a white mask, Michael Myers himself, emerging from the storm. His presence, now looming ever closer, sent a paralyzing dread through their veins. They were trapped in a chilling nightmare, standing helpless over Tommy's unconscious form, as the embodiment of evil stood before them in the distance. The white mask, a stark and sinister contrast to the stormy night, glistened eerily whenever lightning briefly illuminated the scene. Each step he took towards Jill and Julie was slow and deliberate, his heavy boots making a haunting squelching sound on the rain-soaked asphalt. His dark overalls clung to his imposing frame, and in the dim glow of the car's taillights, his presence seemed otherworldly. In his right hand, he gripped a large kitchen knife, its gleaming blade reflecting the sporadic flashes of lightning. The women, frozen in terror, watched in disbelief as he approached, the rhythmic flashing of the lightning overhead casting fleeting, nightmarish glimpses of that emotionless mask. Despite their own fear, Jill and Julie's humanity compelled them to act. With trembling hands and hearts pounding, they knelt beside Tommy, their arms slipping beneath his shoulders, and, with great effort, they lifted him up. Tommy's unconscious form hung between them like a lifeless marionette, his arms draped around their necks, his weight a heavy burden in their frantic escape. Panic coursed through their veins as they desperately worked to place Tommy in the back seat of their SUV and leaping into the front seats. Julie's voice pierced the night as she saw Michael Myers approaching from the rear passenger side, the kitchen knife in his hand gleaming menacingly. "Start the car, Jill. Start it now," she cried, her voice quivering with terror. Jill's hands shook as she fumbled for the keys, the engine sputtering to life just in the nick of time. With a screech of tires on the wet road, they peeled away, leaving Michael Myers standing in the rain, his white mask hauntingly illuminated by the fading red glow of the taillights. Julie and Jill gazed watching as Michael vanished into the stormy night, giving no signs of chase.